Prince Harry has spoken candidly about the breakdown of his relationship with his father and other members of the royal family. He says his father doesn't speak to him, but added he would love a reconciliation.
Prince Andrew has already shown the royal household what happens when a senior figure becomes a liability, and that precedent now hangs heavily over Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The message being shaped behind palace doors is not subtle. Status within the monarchy is not an untouchable shield, even for those born into it. If someone as deeply embedded as Andrew could be stripped of duties, titles in practice, and public standing, then a figure like Harry, who has not only stepped away but also openly criticized the institution, faces an even steeper fall. The comparison is no longer theoretical, it is being used as a working model. Where Andrew's downfall centered on personal scandal, Harry's situation is being framed internally as something more strategic and sustained, a direct challenge to the monarchy's credibility and long-term stability. Across the Commonwealth, especially in cities like Sydney and Melbourne, frustration has reportedly been building. Public sentiment has shifted from curiosity to skepticism, with increasing criticism that the Sussex brand relies heavily on royal association while simultaneously rejecting royal responsibility. The anger has taken a more concrete form through petitions and public debate, particularly around the issue of taxpayer-funded security. Many Australians have questioned why public resources should be used for individuals who are no longer working royals, and this tension has fed into a broader narrative that the couple's activities blur the line between public service and private profit. Inside the royal circle, figures such as Prince William and Princess Anne are said to be taking a far more hardline stance than in previous years. Their approach is less about reconciliation and more about containment. They reportedly see the Sussex situation not as a family dispute but as a structural risk. From their perspective, the continued use of royal titles in commercial ventures, whether podcasts, media deals, or lifestyle branding, creates a dangerous precedent. If left unchecked, it could reduce royal titles to marketing tools rather than symbols of duty and service. This tension is complicated by King Charles III himself, who is caught between his role as monarch and his role as a father. There is a long-standing belief within royal tradition that birthright carries permanence, that being born a prince is not something that can simply be erased. Yet the pressure from within the institution appears to be mounting. Incidents that once may have been dismissed as family disagreements are now being reframed as calculated actions with wider consequences. Statements, interviews, and media projects released during sensitive periods for the royal family have been interpreted by some insiders as crossing a line from personal expression into institutional damage. At the same time, the couple's public appearances and philanthropic work have come under closer scrutiny. Activities such as charity visits and community outreach, once seen as a continuation of royal-style service, are now being questioned for how they are presented and potentially monetized. Critics argue that when such moments are captured and repurposed for commercial media, they risk losing authenticity and appearing transactional. This perception has become a central issue in how the Sussexes are viewed, both within royal circles and by parts of the public. The situation is further complicated by the couple's business trajectory. High-profile deals with major media companies initially positioned them as influential global figures, but the mixed outcomes of these ventures have led to increasing skepticism. Industry reactions, particularly from within entertainment and media, have shaped a narrative that their success depends heavily on their royal connection. Without that connection, some analysts believe their influence may diminish, which in turn raises concerns within the palace about the reputational impact on the monarchy itself. For William and Anne, this is where the Andrew precedent becomes especially relevant. Their argument is rooted in consistency. If one member of the family faced consequences for bringing reputational harm, then another cannot be treated differently simply because the circumstances are less traditional. In their view, the monarchy's survival depends on clear boundaries. Titles, they argue, must reflect service, not simply heritage or brand value. Meanwhile, Charles faces a decision that carries both symbolic and practical weight. Any move to restrict or redefine the Sussexes' use of titles would signal a significant shift in how the monarchy operates in the modern era. It would suggest that royal identity is no longer purely inherited but conditional, tied to behavior and alignment with institutional values. Such a step would not erase Harry's status by birth, but it could redefine how that status functions in public life. The timing adds another layer of urgency. With major international engagements on the horizon, including diplomatic visits, the palace is keenly aware of how competing narratives can overshadow official events. The concern is that parallel media attention, particularly involving the Sussexes, could dilute or distract from the monarchy's messaging on the global stage. This has led to discussions about clarifying roles and ensuring that only designated representatives speak on behalf of the crown. Beyond the immediate situation, there is a broader shift underway in how the monarchy views itself. The emphasis is increasingly on discipline, cohesion, and a streamlined structure. The idea of a slimmed-down monarchy, long discussed, is now being applied more rigorously. Within that framework, there is little tolerance for ambiguity about who represents the institution and under what conditions. Public opinion plays a crucial role in this calculation. Polling trends and media coverage suggest that interest in the next generation of royals, particularly William and his family, is stronger than the ongoing drama surrounding the Sussexes. This shift gives the palace a sense of momentum, reinforcing the belief that a decisive approach could align institutional policy with public sentiment. For Harry and Meghan, the implications are significant. A formal limitation on their use of titles or branding would not just be symbolic, it would affect how they operate professionally and publicly. Their identity would shift more fully into that of private individuals, even if their past continues to define how they are perceived. This transition would mark a clear boundary between royal affiliation and independent activity. Ultimately, what is unfolding is less about a single decision and more about a recalibration of the monarchy's rules. The institution is signaling that it is willing to adapt in order to protect its core identity. Whether that adaptation involves stricter enforcement of existing norms or entirely new frameworks remains to be seen, but the direction is becoming clearer. The balance between tradition and modern reality is being renegotiated in real time, and the outcome will likely shape how the monarchy functions for years to come.